Welcome to episode 58 of your source for comic book news and culture. This is Variant Edition. Hi, I'm Mike.
And I'm Nick. It's been a few weeks, eh?
Yeah, but we're back now. Oh, and Kevin is feeling much better. Who would have thought he was allergic to sponges?
Yeah, anyway, it's been a fun couple of weeks since we last did this. We spent a weekend in Philly for Wizard World and had a blast. We got tons of footage from that con, and Kevin's still putting it together for a big special con episode.
But don't worry, it won't be months late. It should be out next week. It would have been out last week if he hadn't been struck down.
I promise.
See? He promises. Well, like we said, it's been a few weeks, but that hasn't stopped comics. They just keep coming out.
So we're dedicating the entire episode to reviews. We have to catch you guys up, after all.
All right, so prepare yourselves. Here come the reviews. Some of these reviews may contain spoilers, so...
So watch at your own risk. Alright guys, issue 5 of Fallen Sun, The Death of Captain America. This is the issue where it all comes down to the end, where we really know if this has all been just a really sick joke played, or we're going to have to accept the fact that Cap is gone and that we have to move on, and that, you know, we're just going to have to look to everyone else to step up to the plate of leading the Avengers, of just leading the heroes in a new direction. So, of course, with that, the issue is called Acceptance. Now, in this issue, it's the most beautifully written by Jeff Loeb, and by far John Cassidy's most beautifully illustrated Captain America book, even though he had a great run on the Marvel Knights book. Every word spoken and every piece of dialogue said by Sam Wilson the Falcon during the ceremony for Cap at, Arlington Cemetery in Washington is just accompanied by a beautiful fold-out of the audience all together, unified, and then you turn a page and it's a gorgeous splash page by John Cassidy of Cap's greatest moments, Avengers issue, I believe it's 4, where he's screaming Avengers Assemble, where it's him, Giant Man Wasp, and Iron Man, and Hulk. And it's just, it's hard not to get a little misty, which I admit, and not to get taken emotionally by this book, because you're literally accepting the fact that Steve Rogers is dead. Captain America, the dream, the legacy, everything about the man, the myth, is gone. And that we have to move on with the current state of the Marvel Universe. So you see Tony Stark, you see all the heroes, registered or unregistered, either watching or in presence at the ceremony, listening to these great words spoken by Sam Wilson. Again, this dialogue by Jeff Loeb. If you're not taken by this, I don't know what you're taken by, because the way this is written, you feel as if you've actually lost someone or something close to you, and nothing is ever going to be the same. And with saying that, I believe that the last piece of the golden age of the Marvel U, and quite possibly the real life that we live in, has been lost, because this is innocence at an end, this is greatness at an end, and we're all scared and confused as to where this is going to go. So again, Fallen Sun, best, my opinion so far, halfway through the year, best written issue, best illustrated issue of the year. And if you're a Cap fan or not, you've got to appreciate this for what it is. What this is, it's the death of a hero, and it's the start of a bold new direction for anyone and everything involved in this book or out of it.
Fear Agent issue 1. No, this isn't a really old episode. It's Fear Agent issue 1 of The Last Goodbye. I guess they realized, hey, those really bad stories that we were doing that had nothing to do with anything of the main plot going on, but they had really bad art in it. We should stop doing this. Good move, guys. I would have done the same, and I'm pretty sure you heard everything from fans saying, what the hell. But anyway, Fear Agent number 1, Last Goodbye, is kind of like a rehash of an older Fear Agent issue that they did, which just showed Heath in Texas before he became a Fear Agent, back when he was just like, I don't know, a cat. He didn't really do much. He drank and was kind of cool. I guess he had a farm, something like that. They don't really go much into that. It's just more his family life, him chilling out with dad and his wife and his son. And it's just more of that, which we already saw in another issue. But we didn't see how that issue ended. It's just, okay, things went down, he wakes up from his dream, and here you are. Well, now you see what happened later on after that. Things started crashing into town, people started dying, things went awry. And you end up with Heath in the middle of town with his wife with these flying chameleons with jetpacks. It's great, because it's like, oh, this crazy from space is coming. Why not have lizards with jetpacks? I mean, they're really chilled out. They're just kind of like enjoying the fact that they don't have to work at all. They're just like, I'm flying. But, you got to leave that to Tony Moore. His artwork was great. It just gave the lizards like a nice morose kind of, but they eat people, so they can't be all that morose. Or could they? Goth chicks. Anyway, Fear Agent number 1, Last Goodbye. It's nothing spectacular. It's the start for the new story that they're going into, which was kind of picking up the old story that they left off at, but decided to throw some non-consecutive stories in between these two. I don't know what they're doing with it. I guess it's like artist and writer problems going on. I'm going to keep reading it because I love Fear Agent, and it's crazy stuff, and how could you not want to see what they're going to do with chameleons with jetpacks? So, Fear Agent Last Goodbye, definitely good. Check it out. I just hope that it gets back more into the story that they left us hanging off at. That's my only problem with it. Other than that, good stuff.
Okay, so there were so many World War Hulk tie-ins that
There's just so many times issues, so many crossovers going on right now. We're going to tie everything up into one big bundle, Hulkarama Session 101.
fantastic. And there's many things going on. We've got new characters, we've got old characters, we've got characters we haven't seen a lot of, and there's just a lot of interesting storylines. All we know right now is that Hulk's back and he's mad.
He's very angry. Now, what you need to know in the important issues, the tie-ins with the Incredible Hulk, 106 and 107, we see this character Amadeus Cho, the seventh smartest kid on the planet, according to Reed Richards. He was putting together this band of the original, kind of the original lineup of the champions. We got Hercules in there, we got Angel in there, or Archangel for those of you who want to call him that. So he's got this little subplot going on where it looks like he has nice intentions in mind, but you just get this weird feel that I'm putting all these heroes together to help the Hulk fight back, but we don't know for what yet, so we have yet to see where that goes.
Well, not only that, but he's also bought, with Angel's money, he's bought, a nice big chunk of land in New Mexico to make a Hulk reserve.
Oh, that's right. Where the Hulk got his powers originally, that's where they're serving there for their base of operations. So that has a nice little symbolic meaning to it.
Yeah, he also bought a nice ship, which is a amphibious flight vehicle, and they go down to see Namor, and Namor's like, I don't want to help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Get out of my ocean.
Namor's like, he's very opposed to this because he knew what the repercussions were going to be when you read Illuminati, and he totally flaked out and, beat up Iron Man for this decision. He knew this decision was going to come back and bite him in the ass, and now it's going to happen, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So he left him, I think, shipwrecked underwater, right? That was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was really funny. And, of course, the seventh smartest kid can fix an underwater ship, even though it's probably filling with water. Why not? It's a comic book. Go with it.
Yeah. Now, the great thing with all these tie-in issues, if you are reading and keeping track with World War Hulk, X-Men, and all that, they're being very tightly written close together. So the time in between every book is either, I think just about, 5 seconds after this happened or right before this happened, like they're writing, just like his announcement to the world in New York.
Probably some of the best crossovers is what we're getting at
basically,
right here.
The best time crossovers compared to a lot of others.
Tie-ins, everything is just working out beautifully here. And while you mentioned Hulk versus X-Men, I think that was a great issue. And you had the new X-Men team, the old X-Men team, everything an X-Men fan could ever want.
Exactly. You had the astonishing X-Men and the new X-Men going at it with the Hulk. And these kids are completely inexperienced with this force of nature / science. And, the Beast is, familiar with this because he's gone up against him. But all the Hulk really wants, essentially, is an answer from Xavier saying that if he had been there for the vote, which he wasn't in Illuminati, if you're reading, would he have voted yes, Hulk off-planet, or no, Hulk staying, we'll rehabilitate, or we'll do something. So that's going to be really good. I mean, it's only 3 times.
And, of course, Rock Slide's arms ends up in Connecticut.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Connecticut, yeah.
Hilarious.
Just throws them. Can he still control them when they're in Connecticut? 20 miles away? Take that. I'm the Hulk. Weapon X, 23? No! Into the wall.
Right
Gone.
through the wall. It was so funny. I mean, Hulk is really on a rampage, and I think what's great about this whole crossover and big storyline, what's important, if you read Annihilation last year, you see DeVito's on this book with Christus Gage. All the art between all the tie-in issues, the main story, very solid art, very well written between all the writers. That's a big kudos to the editing staff, Marvel itself, and everybody just getting together and making sure this hammers out and just gets out in a very good way to the readers, where everybody can pick up any issue of all these tie-ins and be like, I know what's going on. I know what's going on. And that's
kudos.
So important.
Kudos to all of Marvel. Good job.
Yeah.
And also, can you put Xavier back in the wheelchair, please? I don't like him walking around.
It's just weird to look at.
He's got the mind thing. Doesn't need to walk. It's cool.
A guy pondering in a wheelchair is a lot more mysterious than a guy standing up.
And of course, the Hulk is like, and I'm going to put you back in that wheelchair. That's great. Put him back in the wheelchair.
You know what? I think it might
What a great excuse to put him back in the wheelchair.
It might actually lead up to that in the third issue of X-Men.
But then again,
Hulk.
if you're Xavier and the Hulk's staring you down, you're going to be like, yeah, no, I was going to put you in space.
Again.
No, you don't say that. You're Xavier. You go, no, I'm weak and pathetic. No, I was going to vote you to half. Stay here. It's cool.
I've got no mutant powers.
Stay here. It's cool, Cerebral, all the mutants are dying. Anyway. So we also have Frontline. Frontline, which was a great comic because I thought it really brought the whole human aspect to what's going on. Because you've got all these other tie-ins going on, and you've got the X-Men, you've got the actual World War Hulk, but you don't see really how the humans were faring during this whole battle. Mm-hmm. And Frontline kind of touches base on that. It's like, oh, well, there's these people in this poor area of New York, and no one came to help them get out. The bums are all just kind of hanging out, being like, let them flatten it. We're bums. What do we care?
Yeah, that's why I love Frontline, because it's behind the scenes. It's more of a ground level interaction between everything else and everybody else in the Marvel U, reacting to what's going on between the superheroes or supervillains or something big happening like Civil War or World War Hulk in the Marvel Universe. And that's why this book has been needed in the Marvel U for so long, because it's like you wonder what happens to people, when there's a fight in the city, debris falls everywhere. Does anybody die? No, they ever just kind of manages to make it out in time. No, with Frontline, it's so great. You got Ramon Box on pencils, extremely beautiful pencils, and Paul Jenkins at the top of his game always with this book, whether he's writing Hulk or the Century. This guy knows what he's talking about. So I think it's a really fun book.
So we've worked our way around all the extra tie-ins and what different things mean, but let's talk about the actual comic now. World War Hulk came out, and it conquered Black Bolt's ass
big
on
time.
The moon.
Yeah, issue number 1 is not a letdown at all. I mean, you've seen the preview images. Black Bolt gets his little antennas handed to him. That little scream means nothing now, and he's pretty much a big example of what's going to happen to Earth if they don't cough up Reed Richards, Iron Man, Tony Stark, and Charles Xavier. It's just so great. Iron Man.
Well, he doesn't ask for Xavier. He asked for Iron Man.
That's right.
Reed Richards. I'm drawing a blank. Black Bolt was already there.
Yeah.
You know what? It doesn't matter. I'm just my mind is gone from these comics today, so I'm just gonna say it was amazing. And he shows up and he's got he's like you have 24 hours to evacuate New York City, or I will destroy everyone here. And just so you know, I'm not messing around. I've got Black Bolt, and he's dead.
Or subconscious.
Get out of New York.
Yeah.
And you also at the same time have that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people in New York, and you can't get.
How do you evacuate? What is it? Was it 8 million?
8 million people.
8 million. And those are the people who wanted to leave. There's other people who are psychotic enough to stick around and be like, you know what? We had this coming. Let it happen. This is pretty much our kingdom come Armageddon.
Ain't no one chasing me out of my home, dude. The Hulk is coming, dude.
This is really great. This book, Iron Man really gets it big time. If you read the Iron Man crossover, which we'll get, Iron Man really just gets what he deserves. This guy thinks he can play God. A lot of people don't like Iron Man right now with what happened with Civil War.
I don't like Iron Man, and I hope he gets totally trashed after this.
Me too, and from what it looks like...
I'm not talking about his drinking habit. I mean, totally physically trashed from this whole incident. Hits the wall, shatters every bone in his body, can no longer be Iron Man.
And from what it looks like, the end of issue 1 of World War Hulk, Iron Man is MIA. Only one guy comes out of that rubble, and it's the Hulk. Not Bruce, it's Hulk.
It's Hulk.
Yeah, and
so we know he's not going anywhere.
No.
And now he's just angrier.
Yes. And
more
now,
angry.
With more Iron Man, you got the Invincible Iron Man crossover, who's the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, with this, with all the other, tie-ins, it's just more of a personal reflection, I can't believe I made this decision. Now I got to deal with it, and I'm ready for it. This is what I signed up for. This is why I'm a hero, to take all the punishment and protect the world. And, that's admirable.
You know what? I could have had... They had a whole, little Iron Man speech right before the big fight.
Yeah.
I could have done without that.
Exactly.
I really don't care what Tony Stark's motives were.
Over-dramatics.
It's all like, I'm going to fight this guy and save the day. And yes, I put him in space, and yes, this is all my fault, but at least I'm standing up for the fact that this is my fault. And if I die today, then so be it, because I'm Tony Stark.
Basically.
And I'm a bastard. You caused this problem. You have a lot more money than this Cho kid did. Why didn't you just buy him the reservation? Cho's got the best idea. Don't throw him in space. We'll put him in Nevada or New Mexico where he can't harm anybody.
Yeah.
Of coyotes. It'll be good times.
So anyway, to round this off, we can't wait to see where the series goes.
Oh, absolutely.
All the tie-ins. I think you could probably... It's fair to say you can almost do without all the tie-ins. You can pretty much stick to World War Hulk and Incredible Hulk. Or maybe just Frontline to get the outside aspect. But if you're just reading World War Hulk, you might have a good idea and to be able to stay focused on what's going on and what's going to happen in the Marvel U, post-crisis, post-House of M, post-Civil War, and now post-death of Captain America. This is just going insane.
And of course, this could all mean nothing because everybody might be Skrulls.
Very true. Are you a Skrull?
I'm not a Skrull.
I'm not. I have pointy ears.
Tony Stark might be a Skrull.
He might be.
Xavier might be a Skrull because he can't walk, so maybe the Skrull couldn't find a wheelchair in time.
That's a whole nother issue. We'll get to that later on, but from now, World War Hulk.
Looking forward to it. Pick it up, read it. It's great. Everybody might be a Skrull.
All right, guys. I've said it once. I've said it twice, and I'm just gonna have to say it again for the umpteenth time. Thunderbolts, top 10 has just gone to top 5 on my list. If you are not reading this book, you're missing out on action, not really comedy, cruel humor, I'd like to put it, and just high-octane writing and art, because this is one of the best art teams / creative teams I've seen since Brubaker and Lark and Epting on Captain America, which they're still on and still kicking ass, by the way. So these guys were made for this book. So this is part 6 of the first story arc post-Civil War. This is the new Thunderbolts team that consists of Venom, Moonstar, Songbird, Radioactive Man, Bullseye, and it's just so good. Now, last issue we left off, they were fighting the Steel Spider, which Norman, who you've been paying attention to, has been having these weird breakdowns and taking meds, has been getting confused with Spider-Man. The Steel Spider, and so they've started fighting in the middle of New York, and then an unidentified mutant joins the fight because, you know, she puts out this weird, you know, force field and protects, you know, a bunch of civilians, and then this other random hero, which I'm not sure has been around in Marvel continuity for a while, they probably just got made up, American Eagle, this Mohican guy from, like, I believe Arizona or something, comes by and goes to aid the Steel Spider because he feels this is wrong, that he, you know, heroes shouldn't be hunted, you know, they should be, they should be, thanked for, and all that other stuff, put on a pedestal. So they've gone into this fight, and it's the most unlikeliest of team-ups. Now you have a team of villains against 3 unlikely heroes, and the mayhem that ensues, artistically and, writing-wise, is great. You got Venom, when it reaches the climax, bites the Steel Spider's arm off, chews it out, and spits back one of his, weird tentacles that he uses. So he's armless now. American Eagle single-handedly destroys Bullseye. You flip to the last panel of this page because he sends that this other mutant girl away because they weren't actually there for them. They actually gave the mutant girl and American Eagle a chance to get away, and they said no. We're standing here and fighting. So that was really cool. So American Eagle literally hands the beat down to Bullseye, and now Bullseye is left in this complete and utter, not even catatonic state. He is legally, medically, in all shape, ways, and form dead. His brainwave activity's gone, body's gone. He's just got, movement in his eyes. So it's pretty much like a half-dead soul inside a dead body. And this issue is just so intense. Again, I'm emphasizing that you guys have to pick up this book because it's only going to get better. And I really hope Ellis and Deodato stay on because they were made for this book. This is one of the premier post-Civil War books that you have to be reading besides Captain America.
New Warriors number 2. This is the second comic now where there has not been an individual on the New Warriors teams who have shown any power. We've had a disc that shoots out Spider-Man webbing when it explodes underneath a garbage can wheel, and we've had Jubilee wearing a glove thing and punching through a brick wall. So it is now my opinion that there's no powers on the New Warriors. That being said, this comic is well written. What we've got is a nice mingling of what I'm guessing is all mutants who were at one time mutants, but now after M-Day they have no powers, but they decided we still want to fight evil and bad stuff. So let's use gadgetry. Great. Good plan. Here we go, guys. Another team of Tony Stark wannabes with Iron Mans running around. It's good stuff. You got, people in costume, no super strength, no nothing. They can't fly without jetpacks. They don't have super strength without strength enhancers. They can't even shoot webbing without a little plastic disc. This team might go bad if it wasn't for the fact that Tony Stark says, look, you guys are great. We like what you're doing. Teenagers like what you're doing. How'd you like to join up with the initiative? We'll pretend like none of the bad stuff that you did ever happened, even though you broke the law. Is anyone else noticing a trend here with Tony Stark saying, it's okay, you screwed up. I'm in trouble. Need your help. That's all I'm saying. Tony Stark, bad idea with the new initiative. That being said, back to New Avengers. Why is it that all these useless old X-Men, whether that be Dazzler from the X-Men or Jubilee now, leading the way to save the world one small step at a time? Now, I don't understand why Jubilee is a major player, because nobody likes Jubilee, because all she did is sparklers. That's the worst power ever. Now you've got a strength enhancer, so you think you're tough. Yeah, it's going to be a good comic. I like where we're going. Good storyline, good character use, great art. this book's great. And just, no new powers, no powers inside of this book, just people who want to fight crime, doing it the Tony Stark way. And I'm all for that.
The Amazing Walking Dead, issue number 38, picks up right as 37 ends. Everybody remembers issue 37, right? Laura's sitting down with Rick. She's like, Rick, I gotta tell you something about Shane. In 38, they resolve it so well. It's kind of like, when I read it, it was out of nowhere. I'm just like, wow, I didn't think Rick would be like that. But he was. And honestly, I'm glad he did, because it's probably how I would have been too. But anyway, not to spoil that for you. 38 is such a good issue. It goes from, some people from the compound are leaving and they're going in the RV to go find out stuff about that colony from the governor that everybody escaped from. And, he cut off Rick's hand and all that. So everyone's kind of like, oh, we got to watch out for these people because maybe they're running out of resources. They might want to come here and live in a nice prison, which is really, really good to live in if there's zombies everywhere. So they're out scouting the place. And it just goes uphill, downhill, left and right. Our characters are thrown into such great situations. They see the colony, how everything's set up. They kind of drive around and check out everything. They hit up the National Guard Reserve and like a Walmart and all this stuff that they can tell people from the colony have been using because of, this is being decreased and it doesn't look that bad and all this other stuff. But the thing about 38 is Walking Dead has been going on for quite some time. Granted, it's not like 120 for Ultimate Spider-Man, but for a story that basically had like 6 main characters with a bunch of the undead that don't really add to like dialogue, it's going really, really strong. And the way that they end issue 38 is just, holy shit, a whole new story that I didn't really see coming. It kind of adds to what they were preparing for in the previous issues, but it's completely out of nowhere, and they're just adding more new characters to it, more, I guess, villains, you would say. And seriously, like, The Walking Dead to this point, zombies are a thing of the past. Zombies you can deal with easily. Everybody knows what weapon to use at what range, what kind of rifle to use, this and that, how to shoot them, they get off the head and they're pretty much dead, not to rhyme. But it's just, at this point, zombies really aren't the main problem. It's anybody else who's still alive that's the problem. And that's what I'm really digging about this comic. It's not so much man versus zombie anymore, it's man versus man. So if you want a really good issue, 38's amazing, and I can't wait for 39.
Fallen Sun, Death of Captain America, Spider-Man edition. There's not a lot of comics out there that make you kind of stop and think about the characters that you're dealing with on a weekly basis. But I really think they hit the nail on the head with this comic. What we're dealing with is Spider-Man dealing with the issue of loss. What does it mean when you lose someone who you're really close to, whether that means they're in your family or a close friend who became even closer, and to the point where if anything happened to you, they'd be there to help with your family. Peter Parker starts off this comic in a cemetery in front of Uncle Ben's grave, where he's talking about his decision as to whether or not he should have or should not have dealt with that robber properly, which is interrupted by the Rhino, who on any normal day you'd be like, okay, it's going to be a Rhino Spider-Man fight. But no, Rhino's there because he lost his mother. And then the comic proceeds a little bit of a quick fight with a scurry away by talking about how Cap helped him out with Hulk when Spider-Man helped out Cap with the Hulk one time, and Cap had his back, and they were both kind of seen as great crime fighters defeating a great evil that the world has ever known, it being the Hulk this time around. Wolverine runs into him there. They have a little bit of an exchange, not much. Peter Parker leaves and goes to the bridge where Gwen Stacy died. And Wolverine's there and kind of makes a statement of it's kind of like getting shot in the stomach with a cannonball. The hole's always going to be there, and just when you think that it's healed, it's going to open right back up again, and it's going to make you deal with this whole incident all over again. So what can you do but learn to accept this thing that happened, intricate it, tie it into your life, and move on? And just well-written comic all around, really hits the nail on the head and pulls some heartstrings.
Alright guys, Thor issue 1. Now for those of you who read Avengers Disassembled and the entire Ragnarok storyline for the previous volume of Thor, know that the Twilight of the Gods happened, and it's a vicious cycle that happens every now and then for the gods to die and then be reborn again. So that's, Asgard goes down, all the gods die, and everybody's just reborn. Now in the previous cycle, our good friend Mike Oeming wrote this great thing where Thor was able to break the cycle of Ragnarok and thus paving a new way and a new chapter in the history and just the pages of Asgard and all of mythology for Marvel's way of how they look at the gods and the Pantheon Cup and all that. So now with issue 1 of Thor, we see Thor's great return, and he's being awakened by Donald Blake, who picked up the hammer in the pages of Fantastic Four Civil War crossover, the tie-in issues. So they're talking, and Donald Blake was the alter persona of Thor early in the 90s, who was created by Odin because he was very upset with Thor wanting to serve, regular humans and wanting to be their everyday hero instead of his responsibilities to Asgard and his people and claiming the throne one day, which he later on did in Volume 2. So issue 1 picks up where he's being awakened from the god sleep, where he's in the void with Donald Blake, and Donald Blake is just telling him that there has to be a comeback, there's a rebirth, that he cannot just lay down while he still has something to do in this universe, in his life. So this is great. The artwork is stunning. Olivier Coipel, who we interviewed a while back at the Baltimore Comic Con a couple years ago, provides these beautiful splash pages which are just completely breathtaking, and you're just in awe of this great hero being reborn with the stroke of lightning, with the grab of the hammer, and all. And just J. Michael Straczynski's scripts are just so compelling. You feel like you're being a witness to this, this moment that you couldn't believe would be possible, that you're being sitting there with the rebirth of a god, an Asgardian, Thor. So I can't wait to see where the series goes. It's just a kickoff issue. Thor comes back to Earth. He takes up in a hotel, and Asgard has yet to reappear. So we're going to see what he does with that, and how he's going to react to a post House of M and post Civil War Marvel universe. He doesn't know that Cap has died. He doesn't know that Tony Stark has taken over S.H.I.E.L.D. A lot of stuff has gone down while Thor's been gone and resting. And we've all been waiting for his imminent return. So I can't wait to see where this book goes, and I don't trust anyone else but Straczynski taking over the serious mythology with his great character.
All right, that's it for Variant Edition.
But don't worry, there is more Variant Edition out there, and despite what some of you may say, we're gonna keep making it.
Yeah, we've been elbow deep in this podcast thing since last February. We started off with a simple question. Why isn't there a show out there on television about comics?
So, we decided to do one ourselves, and since TV is so passé these days, we put it on the interweb. That's not to say that there wasn't anybody already using the internet to talk about comics. The audio podcast guys started that back over a year before we did.
Didn't a bunch of them get together and get organized?
Yes, they did, and the Comics Podcast Network was born. Check them out at comicpodcast.com. We joined last year, and there are, 26, 27 members?
I think that we are the only video podcast on there, but there is a lot of diversity. Lots of great shows. Check it out.
Getting back to Variant Edition, we started with just our half-hour podcast, and we've grown to 3 shows. Variant Edition Tuesday, Variant Edition The Discussion, and the weekly half-hour Variant Edition. And while it may be too early to announce anything yet, we've only just started.
What a tease. You're so bad. But we listen to our viewers, and we're working on your suggestions.
Oh, and we promise to do a viewer mail segment in a few weeks.
Promise.
By this point, you should all know that there are quite a few ways to watch us. iTunes, VO, Google, on TV through Akimbo On Demand, and on our website, variantedition.com. And starting this week, we're expanding that a little. Starting with this episode, we are putting high-resolution episodes on our Blip TV feed.
So in addition to the iPod version, we now have a 640 by 480 version for download.
And it looks really nice. We already put our discussions up that way last week.
Check out the feed info on our website, variantition.com. Okay, that really is it for Variantition. So we shot so many reviews this week, we're splitting it into 2 episodes. So check back in a few days for part 2 of our massive comic book review.
Thanks for watching. So you're just going to cover that up, my little stupid thing? Oh.